All roads lead to inflation. Okay? All roads lead to inflation. As the world is evolving and as the world is changing, as events are occurring in the world, as an example, Iran and Israel, okay, the debt crisis in America, people are talking about the debt, which is actually the government spending. People have concerns, okay? People have concerns, and it's preventing them from taking action, okay? Now, if people understood that all roads lead to inflation, okay, then a lot more people wouldn't be as worried about it, and a lot of people would be taking more action than they are now. Whereas right now, I think a lot of people are afraid to invest because they're afraid that assets are going to go down maybe in the short term. And this is the wrong approach, okay? This is the wrong approach, and I'm going to explain to you guys why this is the wrong approach in this video, all right? And I'm going to explain to you guys why all roads lead to inflation in this video, no matter what these situations are, okay? So we're going to talk about that in this video. By the end of this video, hopefully you guys can have a better idea and a better understanding of all the events, all the macroeconomic data, all the events that are going on in the world with wars and things like this. And we're going to talk about how all roads lead to inflation, okay? We're going to talk about that. But before I do, I need to let you guys know that nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your financial counselor. What you decide to do with your money is up to you, and you need to take responsibility for your buys and your sells, okay? But guys, all roads lead to inflation, all right? All roads lead to inflation, all right? If the debt gets out of control, the debt spirals, all right? Bonds come to mature, all right? The government is gonna print money, okay? The government's gonna print money. They have to print money. They're gonna borrow money. Who are they gonna borrow it from? They're gonna borrow it from the Fed. The Fed's gonna give them money, and then they're gonna buy US bonds, which results in a higher money supply, which leads to people over time bidding up prices when it gets to the consumer, which means higher prices overall, which means assets go up, which means that people who hold cash are going to lose purchasing power and get more, aka get more poor. People who own assets are going to get more wealthy. Okay, this is the way that economics, this is the way that investing and finance has always worked. Since the money has gotten off the gold standard, the incentive to save has slowly gotten less valuable over time. Before, maybe 50 years ago, your parents, or maybe even you, if you're an older gentleman that's listening to my content, maybe when you were in your 20s, or when you were a kid, when you were a child, saving your money made sense. Okay, saving your money made more sense. It was more valuable to save your money. With the way that things have went the past 10, 15 years with the economy, with COVID, with all the money printing, all the stimulus, it's not the same world anymore, okay? Interest rates were at 0%. There was a lot of leverage in the system. The Federal Reserve bought their own long-term bonds, and it created a situation where the debt is just going to get worse and worse and worse for the United States, and they're going to spend more money. M2 is just going to keep rapidly expanding, okay? In most likely, okay, unless some magical miracle happens that nobody knows how that'll exist. But that's the thing, you guys, okay? That will result in inflation. If the debt has a problem, it will lead to inflation. If the United States goes to war, okay, if the United States goes to war in Iran, as long as there's not nuclear warfare, okay, in that situation, then yeah, we have a black swan event, and then everything is going to go down at that point, okay? Not just crypto, but the entire world will be in shambles, okay? But besides that, if we just go to war, what does that lead to? That leads to inflation, okay? War leads to inflation. War leads to money printing. More M2. When that money gets circulated, that money gets moved to the consumer. They bid up prices. It leads to inflation, okay? Higher money supply equals more expensive prices for things. If you own assets that are scarce, especially, you increase your purchasing power, okay? So people who own assets during times of inflation, high inflation, or M2 money supply increasing, they get more wealthy, okay, over time. All roads lead to inflation, right? All roads lead to inflation. If the interest rates lower, a lot of people are worried about the assets going down because interest rates are lowering in the short term, not because of any real research necessarily, but they're just looking in the past and saying whenever the Fed cuts interest rates, that's typically a pivot or a change in the direction, which means that typically people sell assets off, okay, most likely. But what does that lead to? That leads to cheaper debt. That leads to people getting loans easier. Which leads to more dollars being created, and which leads to inflation. Same thing, right? All roads lead to inflation, you guys. Unless you guys believe that the United States government is going to default on their debt, then, all roads lead to inflation. They're not going to default on their debt, right? The Federal Reserve and the government will print money and destroy your purchasing power if it means that they can maintain their status as the world reserve currency and they don't default on their debt, right? They're not going to default on their debt. They're going to print money into oblivion until people who hold dollars and who own no assets just get eroded. They would rather do that, okay, than to let than to lose their power as the world reserve currency, as the dollar, okay? And because all of the world needs dollars to trade globally for the most part, all right, because we're the world reserve currency, then everybody else has to increase or decrease their interest rates even more in order to make up more dollars, because dollars have internal demand in the financial system, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, you guys. I don't want this to be a crazy long tangent, right? But all roads lead to inflation, right? All roads lead to inflation. No matter what circumstances happen with current events in the short term, like I said, unless there's nuclear warfare of some sort, then that's a little bit different. Then maybe we need to reconsider some things. But unless that's happening, all roads lead to inflation, right? Which means that people who own assets get wealthy, people who hold dollars and government currencies get poorer, okay? The average lifespan of government currency is not long, okay? Gold's been traded for thousands of years, all right? Cryptocurrency is a great way to increase your purchasing power and your sovereignty over a longer period of time, okay? Now, imagine if you guys held Bitcoin for 10 years, the last 10 years, okay? 2025, the price of Bitcoin in 2015 was less than $1,000. Now Bitcoin's at $100,000 plus, comfortably above $100,000 plus, right? And the reason why that is because the problems that Bitcoin solve have gotten worse, and they're going to continue to get worse. And that's what I'm trying to drive home to you guys. This problem of inflation is not going away, all right? It's not going away, right? It's kind of like if you're going to the gym or if you're not going to the gym and you're not eating the right things and you're not sleeping the right way, you're not treating your body correctly, right? Eventually that's going to catch up to you, right? Eventually that's going to catch up to you, and you're going to have to pay for it later on in life, right? It's the same thing with investing. It's the same thing with taking action, investing your money, converting your government currency into assets, okay? What worked for people 50 years ago, 60 years ago in terms of saving their money, the advice that you guys probably got when you guys were younger does not work anymore, okay? It's not the same game that we're playing. For the younger people in their 20s, such as myself, okay, people even in their 30s and their teens coming up into their early 20s, you guys need to recognize that the game that was played by maybe your parents or your grandparents is not the same game anymore, okay? You have to invest your money and you have to buy assets if you guys want to maintain your purchasing power, because even though it says the inflation is 2%, 3%, that's not the real inflation number, right? The inflation number is much higher than that. It just doesn't show up in the data because they have substitutions, and they basically cook the measurements, they cook the numbers. Their weighting is different. There's a lot of reasons why that's not the actual inflation, which is why when you go to the grocery store and you go to other things, or if you purchase other things, you see the assets going up way higher than what they're reporting in inflation. Well, the reason why that is because they're cooking the measurements, right? And a lot of people don't understand that, okay? So all roads lead to inflation, okay? If you guys keep ignoring this fact that all roads lead to inflation, and there's no way out of your purchasing power getting eroded unless you buy scarce assets and you turn your economic energy that you work for and you earn in the real world and you convert it to solid assets. If you guys don't get on that, then you're gonna have to pay for it later on in life, okay? It's the same thing with your health, right? If you ignore a part of your your foundation as a person, your health, your fitness, whatever the case may be, it's not like you just don't have to do that work. It's going to catch up with you later on if you don't take care of that, right? It's the same thing with investing or going to work or having your money right in general. Eventually that will catch up to you. And I encourage everybody who takes the time to listen to this video to take a little bit more action in terms of your investing. And in my opinion, the best place to do that, if you're committed, is the cryptocurrency market, okay? And if you guys want to talk to me a little bit more about cryptocurrency, a little bit more about Bitcoin, a little bit more about some of the safer assets, you guys can grab a consultation with me, jump in my Telegram in my description, and I can help you out with that, okay? But all roads lead to inflation, right? There's no escaping that all roads lead to inflation. There's nobody that, no matter what happens in the short term, right, all the inflation is going to happen to all the government currencies. They're going to be printed into oblivion compared to scarce assets like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, like Solana, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this rung true for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you guys are more active. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this concept. If you guys agree with me, disagree with me, whatever, I don't care. All right, I'll respond to you, and we can have a conversation. If you guys want, if you have any questions, like I said, write in the comments. YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, save the video. All right, I really appreciate you guys. 193 subscribers, climbing to 200 soon. All right, it's only been a couple of months since I've been doing this, so growth is good. Growth is doing very well. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you guys find value in the videos that I do make. Okay, Instagram, Chase Your Grace. TikTok, Chase Your Grace. I'm going to be making a Twitter very soon, so I'll be plugging that as well for you guys, like I do in every single video. All right, so hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Thank you, and bless up.